We have a full panel today. So the great thing about having a full panel is they can engage with you on the chat. So they're going to be in the chat talking to you, answering any questions that you may have. This is really just a great fun time. So welcome to the Wakelet Texas special webinar with all of my Texas friends and ambassadors. I'll introduce them officially in a minute, but you see Stormy, Alfonso, Wendy, Lydia, Brent, Deb, and Diane. And we are really excited to have you all joining us. So let's go ahead and get started. You guys keep chatting, keep the chat going. Alfonso, you are a great chat leader over there.
He is good.
He's like multitasking. So I'm Tisha Poncio, digital learning specialist, and I am joined by my co-host, Deb Zeman, down there. She actually is the reason that I learned about Wakelet. We're going to talk about our Wakelet stories. She is part of my Wakelet story. She talked about a tool called Wakelet 2 years ago, and I like all the apps, Lydia and I have talked about this. You kind of say, I really don't want another app. I don't need to learn another app. I don't want to be on another social media, whatever it is. So I kind of told Deb no. And then I figured out the greatness of Wakelet. And so here we are today with all of our Texas friends, hoping to fill a void that all of you may have for not being at TCA celebrating with your Wakelet friends. So Deb, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself next?
I am Deborah Zeman. I am an EdTech librarian in North Texas. I've been using Wakelet, I guess, over 2 years now. I don't know. Feels like it's always been part of my life. And yes, when I first started using it, Tish is like, stop. What are you doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Slow down. Because it was so easy to pick up. And I literally, I have it on my phone, my iPad, and I just use it for everything. It's just amazing. And then if you've had the chance to talk with the people of Wakelet, you see how they embrace you and make you part of their family. And since day one, that's how it's been. And this is why we've brought everybody together, which it's fantastic to see not just Texans in here, Albania, Rochester, New York. It's just incredible how they've brought this whole world together. So, and we just love them. It's a great.
Yeah. The truth is, if you're part of the community, you're part of the community for life. You're a Wakelet family member for life. So, I highly encourage you to reach out to the ambassadors here or in the chat or on social media, and also, any of the Wakelet team. They are willing to listen and help you. And that's one of the great things. I know that's why we've all joined them and partnered with them. So first up, we're going to introduce Lydia. Lydia, wave your hand for those that may not know you. Lydia Krupp, she is an instructional technology specialist from Richardson ISD. She's incredible. Let me just tell you, Lydia's like my EdTech twin, you guys. But she has so many other great things about her. She's a Flipgrid ambassador, an Apple teacher, a G Suite for Education certified trainer. Oh, it goes on and on and on. She loves books, superheroes, Disney princesses. And make sure that you are, Lydia, drop your Twitter handle down in the chat so everybody can follow you. Lydia is one to follow. She shares incredible things. So make sure you are connected with her. And next we have Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels. She is our elementary. She's early childhood educator, a Wakelet ambassador. I've been following her for a really long time. Student voice ambassador, ambassador for it all. I think we're all ambassadors, because what happens is when we get that tool, we embrace it and we represent it. And Stormy's wonderful, and we're glad that she's with us. And next up,
we have Alfonso. Alfonso, the podcaster. You guys have to have a conversation with Alfonso. If you don't follow him, go follow him. He does this incredible podcast. I'm slated to be on the podcast. It's a storytelling podcast, which I love. And he said, we don't just have to talk about education, which I sometimes love even more, because I feel like we're just always talking education. People don't know that I watch Netflix only one TV show on Netflix over and over and over. So we can talk about those things. Alfonso, instructional technologist and Google innovator from South Texas. He has 15 years of experience in education. He has a master's in educational technology, along with a graduate certificate in e-learning, a graduate certificate in technology leadership and education. I love this part about Alfonso. He says that he is a servant leader. And I often use that when I describe myself, Alfonso. So I love that about you. He's always looking for ways to help his learning community. And so if you're not connected with him, do that right now. Next up,
we have Brent Mishnick, who we all absolutely love. He's been in education for 11 years. He's taught 4th, 5th, and 6th grade math and science. More power to you. Can't do it. My brain is not made for that. He's in his 2nd year as an elementary innovation leader at Castleberry ISD, which is on the opposite side of us in Dallas-Fort Worth. And he considers himself a lifelong learner and believes that technology is a great way to engage students and allow for collaboration. And in this crazy world, that's exactly what's happening right now. And next up, we have one of my buddies.
So Brent got a shout out. Jamie says that Brent's Wakelet collections have helped her so much. Brent, you're a rock star. Wendy Prey, wave to everybody. She's been an educator for 12 years. So she's not new to the game. She is in her 5th year of librarian at, is it Sherryland? Is that right, Wendy? Sherryland ISD. She is a Wakelet Flipgrid ambassador. She holds various technical micro credentials like Screencastify Master, Genius. Oh, she's a genius. Wow. And she's an Ed Puzzle coach. She's a committee member. She's so many things. I'm going to let her tell you more about herself in a minute. But recently, she's learned about plants, which I think is really awesome. She's also fluent in Spanish. So we love our Spanish speaking ambassadors. Seriously. Shout out to you guys. And now we have not the least, Diane Wilson.
One half of a fabulous twin. Amy Storrs is her sister, but we have Diane today. She is a middle school counselor in Aldine ISD at Teague Middle School. She has a true passion for meaningfully integrating technology into her guidance lessons, which if you've seen her Wakelet collections, you'll know what we're talking about. Also into her counseling program and to remote learning. She's a Wakelet ambassador and loves showing how to utilize Wakelet in her counseling program and how it's changed how she connects with her community, students, parents, and staff. She's also pretty obsessed with all things Hobbit, being a wanderer, camping with her family, and CrossFit, which I've seen those pictures out there. It's pretty cool. So welcome, Diane.
Yeah, so if all of our panelists will please put your Twitter handles in the chat. People are asking Wendy for your Twitter handle. And Alfonso, he's like my right-hand man. Literally, he's on the right side of my screen. So if you can post the, we have a little collection that we're going to send out just in a minute. Have that ready, Alfonso, because all of our attendees, we have a collection ready to share with you. It's going to include Twitter handles. It's going to include the collections our panelists are talking about today. And it's also going to include a couple of other things that we really want to share with you. So this is going to be a question and answer type webinar because we want our attendees to be able to share their stories. So everyone's going to answer this question in no specific order. So you guys just be mindful. If you really feel like you want to take the lead, as soon as I mute, you can get to it. But Deb, what's our first question?
Our first question is, how did you get started with Wakelet?
I'll go ahead and get started. I have a pretty interesting story. So I just started my master's program, and part of the program was to collect articles, curate articles, and I was just searching for things. I mean, free stuff. Obviously, my motto is always, if it's free, it's for me. And especially with any ed tech, I never get anything that is paid for. I want to just maximize and leverage what is out there. And as I was searching, I stumbled upon, just Wakelet. I was like, what's this? And I started playing around with it, and it was amazing. And then I emailed JB Dibs, I call he's all biz. So I emailed him. He actually called me. We were on a call. I was driving and we were meeting. I parked at a Starbucks and just said, "Hey man, like I want to know more about this because I need something for university for my master's program." And then everything that I ever did was just from Wakelet there on, just creating collections for all my schoolwork. And then of course now when in this position, translating that when I work with parents, I created a collection with parents on digital citizenship, both in English and Spanish, where I share resources with them so that they educate themselves as far as digital resource or digital literacy, digital citizenship, and what their kids may or may not be doing on the phone correctly. So that's pretty much the way the story started. And from then on, it's been just an awesome ride, just riding the Wakelet wave. And like you said, I put a hashtag there, Wave Rider for Life. So I'm really excited about it.
If I may, I'd like to piggyback on that. I had no idea how similar our stories were, actually. This is hilarious to me. So a couple of years ago, yes, 2 years ago, I believe it was, I did a solution circle with TCEA. John Bemerly was doing them, and he used Wakelet for the notes and resources. And Tisha's right. I don't want another thing right now, right? Like, I'm like, okay, here's another new one, right? But what I liked about it is I always look for those apps that are universal, right? Like it's not like you can, this is really good for this one thing. It's everywhere. So I like the Flipgrid and things like that, is you can use them for so many things. And so I wanted to learn a little bit more. And yes, James, I reached out and he was like, here, let me show you. What I didn't know at the time in my ignorance is I didn't realize that they were not located here in America. And so I was like, can you meet me at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon? And he's like, sure, didn't even hesitate. And once I realized that meant he was working very late at night just to show me, someone he'd never met, how this worked. And I was done. Like, it didn't matter what it did after that. To me, when you have people that willing to invite you in and be a part of something and to show they believe so much in what they're doing that they'll stay late, I was sold. I was done. I mean, that was it. I'm forever and ever, just like Alfonso said, for life. I mean, it's a done deal. So that's funny. I didn't realize our stories are so similar. And then of course, Tisha and Deb know everybody. So, and since I know them, whenever the Wakelet crew came in for ISTE a couple years, was it when we were in San Antonio? Is that what it was? They dragged me along because they're kind. And so I got to meet everybody that way too. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Can I go next before I forget? So my Wakelet Wave experience started last year at TCA. It didn't really start there because my whole thing was, just like they said, we don't need another place to collect things. Like we have so many places to collect things, right? This is just another place to collect things. And my training partner, Wendy Hadeen from Florida, who's actually here. Hi, Wendy. We just did a Wakelet session together at TCA. So she's like, oh my gosh, we have to go to the Wakelet. We have to go to the Wakelet. And we met Tish and Deb at the Wakelet booth last year. And I had no idea what Wakelet was. And so my thing was wake what? And, it was like enough already with the blue robot. But now we came back from TCA and I don't know that I would have used it had it not been, I mean, of course I would have eventually got on the bandwagon. It's great, but I wouldn't have seen the relevance that quick if it wasn't for remote learning. So I'm a second grade teacher and I need my class in the classroom is very flipped classroom, very blended learning. We have so many tools we use like nothing. And I'm like, oh, my kids are going to get it. Well, until they go home with their parents. And then the parents didn't know what to do. And so I needed something quick, fast, and in a hurry that was visual. And so I put my links to Seesaw, I put my links to Teams, I put my links to what everything we did was in one little neat place with pictures. And all they had to do was click and the magic happened. And from then on, I'm hooked. So my start of the Wakelet Wave was wake what? Like, we don't need this. It's just another tool. But Wendy, you were right. It's not just another tool. So I'm happy to officially know you guys now.
My story is a little bit different. Oh, sorry, Wendy. Go ahead.
Well, mine was Wakelet to the rescue type of story. So I learned from one of my peers, shout out to Q the librarian, who's put some stuff in the chat, Karina. I read about it in one of her blogs over a year ago, but it wasn't until it was the night before PD for my teachers on showing them resources that they could use. And I was not able to go into Google Sites for some reason on our school network, like the night before. And I was like, no. And so Wakelet to the rescue. And it was so easy merging it from my Google site to a Wakelet collection. It was so like seamless. Everything was preserved. The presentation was beautiful. All the links were live. The teachers were like, oh my God, what is this that you're using? And so I totally loved it. And I'm going to put in the chat my collection of when Wendy met Wakelet, so that you guys could read a little bit more about it. But it's one of those things that is so easy to use, and I've never turned back. It's the best thing ever.
So mine was about, I guess I just hit my year a few months ago, my year anniversary. This is my second year in my position, but last year was my first school year as an innovation leader in my district. And I had seen some stuff on Twitter from Pam Hubler, who does a Potty PD, and it said something about Wakelet. I'm like, what's this Wakelet thing? And so I'm like, I'm starting this new position. I'm always looking for new innovative things to sit there and help my teachers. One of my biggest things you can ask my teachers, I always say, my job is to make your teacher life easier, no matter what that may entail. And I never want to make it harder. And so I came across Wakelet and I love the Potty PD idea, and I was looking for ways to get ideas out to teachers without bombarding them. And so I kind of piggybacked off her Potty PD idea. I started my own. I got permission from my administrators on all 3 elementary campuses to post it in the staff bathrooms. And then the digital collections are on Wakelet, and there's a QR code on there. And it's amazing how many teachers are like, oh yeah, there's Mr. Mishtik. I see his stuff in the bathroom all the time. And so I put one in there every month. And then I started using it in so many other different ways. That was just kind of what got me started in this great Wakelet thing. And I, just like you guys have said, it's unreal how great Mizba and James and Amy and everybody at Wakelet is. It's just, it really truly does feel like a family away from your family. So.
All right. Every time I hit unmute, I was like, I didn't speak fast enough. So I'm last. I'm a school counselor. So utilizing tech in my program was never thought of. It was not even a thought. As a counselor, we always followed a counseling program. And if there's any counselors on the call, you know that your day's never planned, which is, I think, all educators. Your day's never planned. So you're putting out fires, yada, 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 so much stuff. So when COVID happened in remote learning, I had to think really quick on how we could reach our community. And my twin sister, Amy Storr, who's been influential since March in my life professionally. Well, I mean, she's my twin, so personally too. She kept pushing and instilling in me like, okay, use this tool. And I'm like, I cannot add anything else to my toolbox. There's no way. And so when COVID happened, obviously I had to do something to reach my community. So she was like, just use Wakelet. So that's how it started. And it just kind of blew up in our district. This is a surreal moment for me to be in this audience and be on a platform with you all, because this is not my field. Tech is not my field, it's counseling. So I never thought they'd be combined. And it has made my profession, I'm allowed to be a counselor this year, if that makes any sense. 5 years, I've only been a counselor for 6 years. So 5 years prior, I was doing a lot of non-counseling stuff. And because of this tool and some other tools, this is the main one that I use on my campus. I've been allowed to be a counselor and do guidance lessons, which is crazy at a middle school level to really do guidance lessons. We've had, I'll explain it later. We've had so much fun the last 2 days doing guidance lessons in our cafeteria. It's been crazy. It's all Wakelet. So my team makes fun of me because they're like, if you say Wakelet one more time, if you say you're going to use Wakelet one more time, I'm like, well, it is. It's the best. So it's because of remote learning, and I just feel like it's evolving, and I'm having so much fun. It's taking my profession into a way totally different direction. So it's been a lot of fun, but I got started because I really got started because I became uncomfortable. That's my word this year, is uncomfortable. If I'm not uncomfortable, I'm not growing. So I find challenges, and I find ways to challenge myself and to grow and to be uncomfortable, because that's where I'm learning more about myself in this profession. So anyway, I could talk all day about this. I'm going to stop right now, but it's because of remote learning and COVID. So that's why I'm going to mute.
That
I
was
love
great.
that. That was awesome. You guys had me laughing. I don't know if you feel the energy, those of you that are watching, even our panelists, you guys have great energy. Your stories are so similar. And I love how authentic your stories are. Because we all, the truth is, if you're watching and you don't know a lot about Wakelet, we all have been there. Don't give me another thing. Don't give me another thing, because we're all just ed teched out. But the truth is, the people that you're seeing right before you, they can attest to the fact that the tools, if we're praising them, then it means that it's really hitting every single learner, every teacher, every circumstance, counseling, administrators, parents, students. I could go on and on and on. I won't, because we don't have that kind of time. I'm like Diane, I could talk about that forever. So the next question we have, and so we're going to make this kind of quick. So it's going to be hard on our panelists. They had this question up front, but I think it's still a hard question. So you can only pick one favorite thing about Wakelet. One. So we're going to take turns, and you're all going to tell us your one thing, your favorite thing. Does anybody want to volunteer to go first? Okay, Deb's going first.
Back
Dan.
channel.
Sorry, Alfonso.
Sorry. Back channeling. You can have a back channel going while you've got a presentation going is the greatest thing. So no more Google form and whatever, nothing against Google. I'm a Google person, but having that right there and it's real time is amazing. Next.
I'll go ahead and go. For me, it's actually the Wakelet team. Every single one of them, just because they always take feedback. They listen to educators, and ever since for the very beginning, they have always listened and made connections and added things to make things so much easier for us. So for me, my favorite thing is the ear that the Wakelet team has.
I'm gonna piggyback on what he just said. I reached out to James about something I didn't know Wakelet had. I'm like, hey, I need to do this. I need it to be live. I need to see my kids responding. And he's like, oh, we got you. Here's a video. And I'm like, oh, so I think the ease of it's so easy for my kids to be engaged. And I have middle school kids. It's very hard to get them engaged, and they are super engaged and focused. And so it's just the ease of the tool. The tool itself is my favorite. The whole thing.
I'll go next. I'm sorry if I spoke over somebody. So my very favorite thing right now is learning spaces, using them with my students because it's so easy. They don't even log in. They just get their work. Learning spaces.
And my favorite thing is all of the awesome export features that Wakelet has. Like if you're a webmaster, like I am at my campus, there's an embed code. If your parents, can't do the internet, there's a PDF with live links. There's Google Classroom. It makes everything just so much easier to share.
I love that you do not have to have an account to use it. So when you're trying to get someone hooked, or whether you're working with students, because I've had teachers ask, well, do they have to have an account? I don't want to worry about another account. I don't want to worry about a login, all that stuff. I'm like, you don't have to. You don't have to. I work with elementary teachers. They don't want the elementary kids to have another account. And so the fact that you can just share that code or share that link and takes it directly in, and they can work on it, and they just type their name in, like it's so seamless. It's perfect.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because someone did ask about that in the chat, and it all becomes, here's the code, they can go in and nobody can change anybody's stuff. That's the other key thing. Wendy could go put something in there. I can't go in and change it. I can only add or change what I put in there. So hopefully that answers. I can't remember who asked that question in the chat, but that was a great question.
Yeah, I mean, this is the danger in going last, everybody. I mean, I just double everybody's stuff. I'm just kidding. No, but I like that if you can link it, it goes in. Like there's lots of things you can put in there. It's not just links, but from the get-go, it was the idea that like, oh, well, I can get a link for that. And it's not that it does that weird wompy link look. Like it puts it in there and it looks nice and it's easy to see. And you're like, hey, okay. And even if you do need to edit it, because sometimes it might, like the wording, you're like, oh, I really want it to say this. You can edit what it says with that link. I don't know. I just like that if you can link it, you can put it in there. And I think that's where the time saver is, right? I don't have to find a specific code necessarily. I don't have to right click and save an image. I don't have to upload. I'm just copy the link, put it in, and you can keep going and then revisit it if you need to do more with it. But if you can link it, it goes in. And I really like that.
I love that this entire session has become like the testimonial for why you should use Wakelet. Because the truth is, it's a hard sell to all of us on this panel. You heard it from them. And so we're all raving about it. I love all of your answers. I am skipping myself because I can't just pick one thing. So you have covered it. We're going to move on because we want to showcase some of your things. So Deb has the next question.
How are you promoting Wakelet in schools? But I think everybody has almost answered that question, unless you have something maybe additional to throw out there.
Well, what I would like to do is I would like to go ahead and share my screen. Alfonso, if you could go ahead and pop that Wakelet collection link into the chat for all the attendees. The link is there. Alfonso just sent it, and I'm going to actually share my screen. I'm going to turn off my video, but I'm going to share my screen. And then we can have our attendees go ahead and talk about their collections. So here's that collection. Alfonso put that in the chat for you. You can find Deb and I. Deb linked her Twitter. I linked my Wakelet profile, which also includes my Twitter account here. You can contact us there. But we're going to go ahead and start with Lydia. So Lydia, if you want to unmute and tell everybody about your collection called Do You Speak Internet?
So I am in a little different position. Because I actually support teachers more than work with students. And so a lot of times I'm using Wakelet as a presentation tool. And I like it because as things change or come up, or if somebody mentions something like, oh, I'll just drop it in right now, right? And I can hop in and add it. This is one I created though to present to some parents. So one of my campuses, they had a PTA meeting and their principal reached out to me and said, hey, I need you to present on X, Y, and Z in terms of what does it mean to be online and what should we be looking at for our kids, especially in elementary. It gets tricky because kids are like, I want a Facebook, and parents go, sure, you're 8, why not? And there's just a lot more to it, right? So this is something I put together. I was able to put an icebreaker in, had videos in there, resources, and then I presented from this and gave the link to the parents so they can always come back and revisit. They can always come back and check on things. And it keeps me focused, because if you meet me, you'll learn quickly. I get very excited, I get very passionate, and I will go on tangents, and it doesn't take much to get me going the wrong direction. And so this helps me because as I present and move down, it's also like my outline, right? And I'm like, I need to cover this, I need to cover this, I need to cover this. So I tend to use it mostly for presentations. And I know this is a question coming up, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it now. One thing I love, one of the ideas during right before the holidays when Wakelet was releasing and we did the 25 days and all that, was like a book study using Wakelet. And I am working on a professional learning for teachers to not only teach them Wakelet basics, but how to use it for like a book study for their students. So that's something I have on my coming ups, because I know y'all are going to ask us that eventually, I believe, because I did preview the questions. But yeah, so this is just one that I did to present to parents. I use it for all sorts of presentations.
This is great, Lydia. Thank you so much. Those of you that are watching, you can see she's added Amazon links in here. I know she has some PDFs. She has news articles. There's so much you can add to this. So this is Lydia's collection. You will find that on that collection link that Alfonso put in the chat. If you need that link again, let them know. We're going to go ahead and move on to Stormy.
Yes, so let me unmute myself. Okay, I'm unmuted. So this is a unit we did, of course, during the holidays, celebrations around the world. And my entire grade level did this. It was 4 classrooms. Each of the other classes did one country. So one class did Italy, one class did United States, and one class did India. But if you scroll down to my class, we did 3 countries, because I personally know, oh, can we go to Bahrain? That's me. But can you go back up? Look at that flip grid. Look how beautiful it looks. Not me, but the flip grid right here. If we can go down this rabbit hole, please, to Bahrain, and one up, Tisha, sorry. One up. Right there.
Okay, did you want me? I'm clicking on it. It's loading.
Okay, so this is the collection that my class created, and each one of those countries was all of that, was just that country. And so the other classes just created one Wakelet and they gave me the link. And so that's how I got them. I just said, well, just put your things here on this page and then give me the link. And so they used Wakelet and they didn't even know they were using Wakelet. But what's great about it is we were able to, inside our Wakelet, did it load the celebrations around the world?
It didn't load, Stormy. I'm sorry. It's not loading. I preloaded these before. So if attendees will click on that, you'll be able to see she's put a Wakelet inside of a Wakelet, right?
Yes. And then there's 3 Wakelets inside there, one for each country. And so the Wakelet ambassadors from Bahrain and the Wakelet ambassador from Nigeria and the Wakelet ambassador from Argentina, they visited our classroom. We had reporters and they were able to ask them questions about their country and what they celebrate at that time of the year. And then we put all of those responses to the Flipgrid inside the Wakelet. So students, when they shared the Wakelet collection, the whole thing, nobody had to go anywhere to learn from what the students learned from. So,
hey, Stormy, I have a question.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
grade level was this for specifically?
Second.
Yeah, I really wanted you to point that out because a lot of times I feel
I
like
love to
there
point that
is
out.
there's a myth. This is why we invited you here. There is a myth that little learners cannot do this. And that is why I'm staying right here on this research question section, because little learners absolutely can use tools like Wakelet.
Yes. And so obviously the students created those questions. So they come up with their own questions that they want to learn. And then every classroom asks the same questions of their country, but the students create the question and they always want to know first if they have Santa Claus. And one of our countries is Bahrain, and Mr. Mohammed is a good friend. And so I wasn't worried about the cultural clashes, but we just learned about what they do at this time of the year to celebrate. It wasn't about Christmas. It wasn't about, a certain holiday. It was about people and community and celebration and bringing people together to talk. We went to Argentina with Miss Maria and she gave us a tour of her house and how they decorate. And Miss Uche from Nigeria talked about the culture in Nigeria and what their students do in school. And they were on break already, so we didn't get to talk to the students, but it's just amazing. And the power of collaboration through Wakelet is, I have a project called Walk Across Wakelet, in fact, and we do just that. Like, I have a lot of global collaborations that I'm a part of. And one of my friends, Miss Maria from Portugal, Miss Manuela from Portugal had wanted me to share about drought in our region with her students. And I said one day, well, I can take a walk in the desert and show them the desert. So I just took my phone outside and took a walk, and she shared it on Wakelet. And then it became this big, huge project called Walk Across Wakelet. Now, if you could see my map behind me, we have a map and we've been to Argentina, we've been to Russia twice. We're walking across Wakelet in our project. So if you click on where it says created by my name, if you click there, you can get to anybody's profile. So click there and go to Walk Across Wakelet. And we would like to take a walk wherever you are. So
you guys make sure.
Grow.
That's great, Stormy. I'm glad you pointed that out. As I'm sharing their collections, you all have these links. So make sure you're clicking on their profile so you can follow them on Wakelet as well, or bookmark their profile. Next up, we have Alfonso.
Yeah. So what I did is I wanted to find an easy way. When I do Technology Tuesdays with parents, I meet with with parents, and they come in, and I have a class of Spanish speaking parents that they come in. So what I did is I created a collection with digital citizenship resources, with things and important things, maybe things that parents may not be aware of, because in our demographic area where we're from, it is a lot of Spanish. There are a lot of Spanish speaking parents. So it's great that, I'm bilingual. And so we have these crucial conversations. I mean, these are tough conversations where parents didn't know what their students can do or their children can do, or, while they're online. So there's articles there that I share with them about the importance of not sharing too much oversharing by parents. Some of the things that can happen, I share articles with them, and some of the things that I put here sometimes are very difficult for them to kind of see and be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this is what they can be doing. And it kind of starts that conversation where it's something that's very important, but more than anything, it's just to help educate our parents. I mean, our parents are part of our learning community. So for myself, creating this collection and sharing it with them is something that is valuable because they can read through some of the articles, they can watch some of the clips that are here, and they can educate themselves, and in a way that now they know how to reach out to their son or daughter and maybe have those conversations, letting them know about those consequences. Because oftentimes, if the parents aren't educated enough in this subject area, it's mainly always like, oh, I'm just going to take the phone away, I'm just going to take the phone away. But rather than just simply taking the phone away and thinking that the problem is going to go away, they can read through these articles again, see some of the clips, and just sharpen their skills and have more tools in their parent tool belt to be able to equip themselves and help their children with these digital citizenship resources that they have available. So it's been an amazing journey. I'm actually, there's a blog post. If you go check out on the Wakelet blog, there is a blog about these resources and the way that it all started. But again, I love that I get to reach out to our Spanish speaking community, to our parents. And there's also, I do have a collection in English, and pretty much it's the same. But again, this is the one that I did share because again, this is the community that I serve the most as far as numbers. So yeah, so very excited. Again, Wakelet being an amazing tool where I just share it. And the beautiful part about it is I'll have parents that'll call and say, hi, compartí el enlace, compartí la colección con mi amigo, mi amiga, mis vecinos. So I love that I get that feedback, that they take that collection and share it amongst themselves there with the family and amongst their neighbors and amongst, anybody, because all they need to do is just simply share that link. And it's amazing the reach that you can have with a Wakelet collection. I mean, this is pretty much out there for all of us to use. So let's take advantage of this wonderful tool and reach out to our learning community, which includes our parents, because now it's so much easier to do with a tool like Wakelet.
I agree, Alfonso. I love that your example was partnering with parents, because I think that is a group that we all need to be better about partnering with. It's been very difficult this year, but I love that you have this. I was sharing as you were talking, the really simple way to share a Wakelet. You can copy that link, but you also can export it as a PDF so that if your parents are not on the internet, they still have that information right there. So great share, Alfonso. Thank you so much. Next, we have Brent with his Potty PD.
So, like I said earlier, I'd gotten permission from my elementary administrators at the 3 campuses that I serve. And I wanted a way to share resources with my teachers without overloading them, without bombarding them with emails all the time, and get a little chuckle out of them as well. And with just the name and the fact that it's in the staff bathrooms just use a little sleeve on the wall to sit there and for them to see it. And I give shout outs to people. I love everybody kept mentioning the Wakelet extension. That is like my lifesaver, creating this, because I create the collection and it's completely empty. And then I see something, I'm like, oh, that would be awesome to put in my next Potty PD for next month. And I just click on the extension and I save it directly there, whether it's a tweet or whether it's a website or whatever it might be. I can pop it right into my Wakelet collection, and then I just have to go in and organize. And I just keep the setup that way. I love the fact that I can sit there and put all those different things in there, and I don't have to sit there and go back and forth and I don't have Wakelet open. Let me go open that. And I mean, like I try to make my teachers' lives easier. This makes my life easier. I even got my wife hooked on it, saving recipes, because she loves to cook. And so she has her own Wakelet account, and she saves it on her phone when she finds them and stuff like that. And she loves it already. And I mean, she never likes any of my ideas and stuff like that because she doesn't want to have to learn something new or add something new to her phone. But I got her hooked on Wakelet, so I mean, it must be good. So
I love
like
that you
brought that up.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
actually, that's how I started using Wakelet. Deb was like, use Wakelet. And I was like, I don't know for what. And then I used it for recipes, just like your wife, Brent. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great way when you can learn to apply that to your scenario and Wakelet, using that tool, apply that tool to your scenario, your circumstances, and then it becomes it just becomes part of your life. We all have that story. So I love that you hit on that.
Yeah.
Just using recipes is how you can start.
Yeah, there you go. See, start with something small. And I use it for personal stuff too and save stuff here and there. But like you guys were saying about the share button, like I embed these directly into my Google site that I share with my teachers. And you know what I mean? I share it on directly out onto Twitter that way and all those things. And
the
just
QR
being able
code.
to do that easily, like it literally doesn't take, you don't have to watch tutorials to do it. Literally, it's that easy.
Yeah.
And if you do need them, they have them.
Mhm.
But the fact that it just, I mean, literally every time I turn around, they've got a new feature that, oh, that would be something that I need. That's great. I love it. Like somebody mentioned
Yeah.
the Wakelet Spaces. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a game
Yes.
changer. Like I can't even say enough.
Okay, Wendy, you're up.
Hey guys, I totally agree with everything you guys have said. The Spaces was a game changer for me. Like I had 2 accounts, a personal account, a professional account. I'm like, you know what? And about the customer service, I called, I think it was Amy at Wakelet. And I'm like, for some reason, it doesn't delete my old account. Can you do it? Like in seconds, it was done. It was amazing. So what I used it for is as a librarian, shout out to all my librarians from around the world on this chat. I use it to share information. So what this collection that Tisha's showing is right around COVID, everybody, or right before we came back to school in August, a lot of my community on Facebook was just kind of expressing, anxiety. I don't know what to do. Somebody guide me, from parents to, students to teachers in other areas where I live. And so I said, you know what? I am going to do a 6-part series on going back to basics with Google Classroom or just Google for Education, because I wanted people to kind of not be anxious about the start of the new year, get familiar with Google. And so I used this collection to just curate everything that I shared, from assessments, how do you feel about different things? And one of my English teacher colleagues at my campus is amazing. She shared a lot of the surveys that she had already done. And so I just tweaked them. And then I would do a lesson. I went on Zoom, recorded my sessions, uploaded those to YouTube, imported with the Wakelet feature of importing YouTube stuff. I added links. If there was a question during my training that I didn't know the answer to at that time, I made a note of it and worked with the Flipgrid integration of Wakelet to make a little video. Hey guys, I have an answer to your question. Did a screencast with that Flipgrid integration and just curated everything for my attendees to see. I mean, even their certificates at the end, which I used Canva for, you put that link in there and they loved it. A lot of people did not even know about Wakelet. And so they're like, I love how you have this. Like, can we have this? Of course you can. I'm glad you asked. And so it was such a great experience for me to share that with my community and show them Wakelet. And so this is another tip for those of you who are Google Level 1, Level 2 certified, who want to be Google certified trainers. I actually use this for my application. So everything that I have on here, I used for that. And then I exported it to a Google site, which is, again, seamless. So just a little perk or a little tip there for those of you who kind of want to branch out and grow, sharing information, teaching people things. So that is one of my many success stories with.
It's a great tip, Wendy.
Yeah,
if you see, if you are a Google district or a Microsoft district, I mean, just know that there is such easy integration with those tools, just like Wendy said. So that's a great share. If you don't have this in your collection, you should. This is great, Wendy.
And
It keeps going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a month and a half worth of stuff, but I wanted everybody that attended my trainings to have a one-stop shop, which is what that's how I market Wakelet. It's a one-stop shop. It's
Yeah.
not another thing. It's
So
the
the
thing
other,
and all other things. You know what
you're right. And the other thing about it, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but I will, because we're rounding out the hour, but the reason that I love Wakelet, and they've all hit on it, is that the artifacts you can add to a Wakelet collection, it's basically unlimited. You can do URLs, you can add text, you can format that text to be bold or centered or add bullets. You can upload pictures that your kids see. I'm going to always move this over to how can your kids use this in the classroom. You can upload pictures that they've created in Canvas or Canva or Adobe Spark. So there's just so many ways to utilize this. This is a great share, Wendy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I
Thank
like
you.
that you were talking about that, because as the librarian, you know, we're the information specialists. And I know at the beginning of the school year, my district bought GimKit. Nobody knew what GimKit was. I had a thing with all the resources. I shared it out and I had teachers come out, go, what is this thing that you have it in? I'm like, oh, this is Wakelet. And they're, oh, can you tell me more? So again, it's like, here's this tool, but oh, by the way, here, try Wakelet too.
So Diane, are you there?
I'm here. I don't
So
know.
I have a question. Can you see your profile here? This is Diane's profile. I haven't tried it, but if I scan that little code, where is it going to take me?
It takes you to my Google calming room. It's a virtual
Look
calming.
at that. See, you
Yeah.
guys scan that code. I don't know if you're like me. TCA has been equally as busy as it would be if I was in person. And I think calming rooms are a great idea. Take it away, Diane. Tell us more about your profile.
Okay, so we use it a lot in the beginning, initially for newsletters, and I don't know what to talk about. We have so much to talk about. The biggest things we did, obviously, were our guidance lessons. That's the big thing we're doing on our campus. The mental health one is brand new. I guess we can look at that one. We push out our guidance lessons through Wakelet, and we use Schoology on our campus. That's how we push out academics, how we push out everything. We're a one-to-one campus too, so all of our kids have a Chromebook. And so the good thing about doing guidance lessons in the cafeteria is that all the kids have their devices with them already. And so we give them the link in Schoology, they click on it, and it takes them to this Wakelet. So they work from the guidance lesson within this Wakelet. And we just put our norms for our guidance lesson. This was a 2-day guidance lesson. It just ended today. Super exciting. We do a pre-test to collect data. We show a video. We did a little Padlet exercise where we asked a question. The kids got to respond. And it was crazy. It was nonstop responses, and we're trying to moderate it and approve and not approve. So, but we do all of our guidance lessons from Wakelet now, which is a game changer for us. Super easy. We put the pre-test and post-test in there. I just added some pictures on the bottom to show you, and if you could see them clearly, like how we're doing them. They're in lunch. It's on the white screen. They're interacting. Today was a real big deal because we had asked some questions from the pre-test, and they would collaborate amongst their table. And then they'd raise their hand because we have hot chips. And they're like, oh, we want to raise our hand and answer a question. And they can get on the mic and answer questions. Very interactive tool. So we have thoroughly enjoyed using Wakelet for our guidance lessons. But we use it for self-care for our teachers. We use it for PD. I have a Wakelet strictly for technology tools for counselors for Aldine ISD. We use it for everything. It's hard to talk about one Wakelet. We push everything out through Wakelets. We have a teen counseling corner where every day is a different thing. Mindfulness Monday, Tuesday tips for your counselors. What's the word Wednesday? We push out college and career readiness on our Wakelet. I'm a Texas Zone Course ambassador, so I do a lot of CCMR. That's a Wakelet. We just put everything in Wakelet. I would love to show you all of my stuff.
I love how you say that, Diane. Really, that's a great way to end this session. We put everything in Wakelet. What I love, and I need to go back because I wanted you to talk about this profile, and hopefully it will load here. So if you'll notice, Diane shared a different link with us than all the other panelists, but what I love this because she's using her profile. So she went in and made each of these collections public and then organized them on this side into a little menu so that it would help those visiting her profile. She was also able to link her Twitter, her Facebook, her Instagram, and she's added some hashtags. So I love that you did this. This is what you'll see for my profile share in the Texas special Wakelet collection. Diane, I kind of copied you. Or I don't know, who did we copy? I don't know who was, I'll tell you, my students were doing that first. They were creating their profiles and I actually copied them. But I think it's a great way to showcase what you're doing. And I love that you shared this. So Diane has lots of stuff. Make sure you go follow Diane on Twitter and on Wakelet, because she is just sharing, and she has this room that we all need to go to.
I do
Okay.
want to just drop one little nugget in case people are concerned. If any of these you decide to use and you copy it, credit will go back to the original user. It doesn't matter if you have making 15,000 copies, credit will always go back to Diane and Alfonso and Brett. People are concerned about that. And we let Wakelet know, hey, we've got to fix that, because there were some issues where people were taking other people's work and claiming it as their own, and it wasn't true. And again, being that copyrights and permissions person, it's like, hey, so if you copy the Diane's or any of her guidance counselor, if they're available to be copied, which I don't know if you have it set that way, okay, she will always get credit for it. So don't worry about that. I had to throw that in there in case anybody was wondering.
We're thankful you did throw that in there, Deb. So we don't have time for the last question, but what we want you to do, and I want the panelists to do this as well, I want you to tweet out or share out on Instagram using the hashtag WakeletWave, and make sure you tag Wakelet. Let us know one new way you're planning on using Wakelet in the upcoming months. So if you're an attendee and our panelists showed you something that really inspired you, go ahead and tweet that out, put it on Instagram, do a TikTok. I don't know what you guys are using out there, but go out there and let us know. And then panelists, I want you to go ahead and share one new way you're going to use Wakelet in the upcoming months, and tag Deb and I so that we can share out your ideas. I'm just going to share I haven't done a lot of sharing, but I'm going to tell you that I was on a call with Adam from Wakelet earlier, and he and I were talking about vision boards. And I decided, based on my chat with him, that I'm going to have my students, when I get back, do vision boards on Wakelet, because I think vision boards and goal setting is really important during this time frame. Back to that mental health. I love what Diane does because I think it's such an important thing with our kids right now. So that is going to be my way to use Wakelet. So we'll see how that works out for me. My kids don't know they're doing it, so we'll see. Yeah. So we're wrapping up the hour, but I want to go ahead and make sure, I know Alfonso and Deb have been sharing that link to this collection that I'm showing you right now, this Texas Wakelet special collection. If you scroll down and you go right under Diane, you'll see want to become a community member. We want you to join us. We want you to go ahead and click on that, find out more about how to become a community member. Yes. And then also there are lots of ways to get involved for my beginner users out there. Please reach out to any of us on the panel. We will point you in the right direction for webinars and things that are happening that will help you. And then lastly, before we take some questions, I don't know if we have any, but I want to point out this Wakelet Community Impact Award. Yes. So for 2021, Wakelet is giving away $10,000 cash prize to a person who has demonstrated the most significant impact in their community. And so when you click on this link, it will take you to an application. Mispa himself told me to tell you, yes, can nominate yourself. You can nominate yourself, Alfonso, okay? Yeah. Like I'm not even kidding with Alfonso. You need to be doing that. You are doing some parent partnerships. I think that is a great way to impact your community. So I know it feels weird to nominate yourself, but you need to go nominate. Submit.
Yes. Apply. You don't have to use that word anymore. Use apply.
Use the apply word. Yeah.
Apply.
Yeah, it's a grant, Alfonso.
Grant.
So I've also linked this video here, this YouTube video. MISPA is telling you more about this Impact Award. We want to make sure that you guys know about that. Share that video out, share that link out using hashtag Wakelet Wave. And lastly, before I stop sharing my screen, I just want to point this out. If you need support, I hear this a lot when I'm in chats. Something doesn't work. This doesn't work. My students are using this. The truth is, they've all said it here on this panel, but if you have an issue and you email support@wakelet.com, I guarantee you're going to get a response probably within the hour. They are going to take care of you. They're going to take care of your students. I have included James' email address and Amy's email address. If you don't follow Wakelet on Twitter, go ahead and do that. They also are on Instagram, so please go follow them there. This was a great hour with all of you. Did you
We're
guys have
so
fun?
happy you guys
Oh, it
jumped
flew.
in.
It flew by.
That was amazing.
Thank
You guys
Love doing
did
this stuff with you guys.
Y'all did a great question. You did a great job asking the questions.
You know what? Who's the picture taker in the group?
I'm trying
Who's our
to
picture
get a
taker? Lydia? Oh,
I
that's
think a
Diane. Diane's
screenshot-
going
I
to
think
take a picture.
screenshot's the best.
I
So let
took
whoever's.
2 pictures.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So do we have, did we all smile, Diane?
Yeah, hopefully.
Does anybody have any questions? We still have a couple of minutes, so go ahead and drop your questions in. I know some people were raising their hand, and I don't know if their questions got answered. I think they did. You guys are incredible.
Yeah.
When can we do this again?
When we have a chat going in the background with the guys and they're like, this is so lovely. I'm like, let us know when you want us to do this again. Cause I am sure we didn't even touch the surface of what we are all doing. We could make 50 different collections.
We could probably talk to you for a whole nother hour. I know every single one of the panelists, they are rock stars in the Wakelet community. Please go follow them. Please get in touch with them.
And if you have any questions with anything, formatting or whatever, you just want to chat, just please reach out to us.
James wants to know part 2 coming soon, you guys. Do you have, I'm sure they could come up with something else.
I'm in.
Well,
a podcast with all of us on it. It might be like, 4 hours long.
I was just saying, that would have to come in parts.
Sign me up.
Channel Alfonso.
Well, I know. Well, we have a minute. It was great having all of our attendees. We're so excited. Thank you all panelists for sharing. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to stop my video. I'm going to mute myself. If you still have questions, we'll be answering over in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Bye.